Alongside my broadcast partner, Jake Starr. My name is Bob McCool, and the man in the middle is our guest tonight, and he is the acting manager for the Phils. He's been their hitting coach all season long, of course, but he is acting manager in the absence of Al Padrique. He'll be back with the team on Tuesday. But Tyler Henson, let's just talk a little bit first about last night's game. Cannot skip the biggest piece of the puzzle, which was an absolutely brilliant performance last night by Tyler Phillips.
Yeah, Tyler threw the ball very well. He gave us six no-hit innings. Gave us a chance to score as many runs as we could. Obviously, the offense was 1 for 10 with guys in scoring position last night. We just didn't get it done to pick him up.
The decision to take him out. Obviously, at that point in time, you said it, 6 innings, no hits. He had struck out 9. He had 73 pitches. What went into the decision that it was the right time to take him out?
Well, just him coming off injury of last year, and he had an inning limit last night of being 6 innings, and he got his work in, and he did what he was supposed to do.
And then you talked about the offense. I want to flash back 2 nights ago. The offense had one of its best performances of the season. It seemed like aggressiveness kind of was the theme of that game. They were jumping on pitches early, but when they had to be patient against a guy like Gabriel Hughes, they were. So when you're working with these hitters, is it more a situation-by-situation basis, or do you go into some games saying tonight, this is the guy we can be aggressive of, or this is the guy that walks a lot of guys, so we need to be more patient and wait for our pitch?
Yeah, exactly. I think Hughes was the type of guy that likes to challenge a lot of teams with his fastball, and we're one of those teams that like to hit the fastball. So the matchup was good for us night one, and we were hunting the fastball, and we got good swings off on it.
You work tirelessly with these guys in hitting. They lead the Eastern League in hitting. They've led the Eastern League in hitting all season long. Do you even pay attention to that, or are you still so focused on each individual guy's particular approach that you don't really pay attention to that aspect of the statistics?
No, I pay attention to a lot of the team stuff, but mostly the day-to-day is individual based. But when the lights turn on, it's all team-based. We got to execute situations when we need to execute them, and the guys have done a good job this year with it.
I feel like one of the names that has kind of slid under the radar maybe publicly has been Matthew Kroon, because everyone looks at this team, they look at Johan Rojas, Carlos De La Cruz, Ethan Wilson, who are all having terrific seasons, but I think no one's been more consistent than Matt Kroon has been so far this year, and he's a guy who's coming off missing all of 22 with an injury pretty much, just played 2 games that year. Coming off that injury, just how impressive has it been how he's been able to kind of just look like he's not missed a beat, and he really has just been so steady all year?
Yeah. I mean, I can go back to 22, just to start the year here. He was on a mission. He was one of the best players on the field, and the injury happens, but it didn't set him back mindset-wise. He comes back ready to go. He's the type of guy, when the lights turn on, it's full throttle all the time, and he's actually done everything that we've asked of him, which is great, and he's been very consistent.
Well, we've talked to Al Padrique about Matthew Kroon. He talks a lot about the fact that he's learning to play a new position, playing at third base. How much is that impactful from your angle in terms of hitting? Because sometimes the guys will take the bat with them in the field, sometimes they'll take the glove with them to the bat. How much does that play into it?
Not a whole lot. I mean, not with a guy like Kroon. Kroon played infield in college. He has experience there. So it's not too foreign for him, but my biggest thing is just keeping him in a positive mindset on the offensive side. If he's going to make errors defensively here and there, but you know what? Everybody does. So what? So you got to throw him out the window, and then when you get in the box, you get in the box ready to hit.
Newcomer in Reading this week in Casey Martin, just caught up from Jersey Shore on Monday. Early returns have been really strong on Martin. Had the home run last night, 2 hits a couple nights ago. He's flashed terrific speed, arm strength, great ability in the field. But just starting specifically of him as a batter, what have you liked what you've seen from him so far?
I like the changes that he's made throughout the winter. His swing's gotten a little bit more compact, shorter. He's willing to use the other side of the field, which is right field for him. And he's starting to develop as a hitter. The power stuff will come here and there, but as long as he can continue to progress as a complete hitter and play shortstop the way he plays shortstop, he's going to be a good player.
Yeah, he had the home run last night, and that's there. Even though he doesn't look like the biggest guy in the world, he does have some pop. But the knock on him has been contact, strikeouts, too many strikeouts. He seems to have cut that back to some degree. He's done that very well here. Obviously, the batting average is better. But how does a player who has that knock that he strikes out too much and has to change that approach. It's not the easiest thing in the world to change.
It's really not. I think it's just, you got to get to the point where you trust the people that are giving you the information and telling you what you need to improve on. I think he's done a good job. Obviously, Brock Stassi down in Lakewood, the hitting coach there, has worked tirelessly with him to keep him going, and he's done a great job with him.
Brock Stassi, of course, another former member of the Phillies organization as a player, but another name to kind of bring up here is Johan Rojas, and the scouting reports on him coming into the year where the defense is there, the defense is major league ready. I know as of this week he led all of minor league baseball center fielders with 14 defensive runs saved, but they always said the next step was going to be as a hitter, and it seems like we're nearly halfway through the season, and it seems like that next step has come from Johan Rojas. He has shown he can hit for power. He's shown he can drive the ball to the gaps, get extra bases, but you've worked with him now for a good bit. What has been the biggest improvement that maybe we don't see on the field from Rojas in his, whether it's discipline or approach so far?
Yeah, I think its approach is the one thing, but it's consistency in his work. He comes in every day ready to go. He's got a solid routine that he goes through pretty much every day, and he's asking the right questions now. He's learning. He's just developing as a hitter, which is awesome. And obviously the results are there, which help. But I'm excited where he's at. Hopefully he can keep this going.
You were watching the Reading Fightin Phil's pregame show. Again, the Fightin Phil's and the Hartford Yard Goats. We're talking with hitting instructor Tyler Henson. Tyler, at the beginning of the year, talking to you about Carlos De La Cruz, who I know I don't want to say he's become a kind of a special project for you, but in a lot of ways he has been because you work so hard with him. But at the beginning of the year, you were saying that you just thought he was the beneficiary of some good bounces, that you thought there was more in the tool shed for Carlos De La Cruz. Is he getting closer to that point where you thought he would be? Because he is having a really solid year.
Yeah, he's having a solid year, but I think he's just shown flashes of it so far. He hasn't really put together that long stretch of what he's really capable of doing. Carlos is that type of guy where teams come in, they're gonna game plan against him, and they're gonna treat him like he's the guy in the lineup, and same with Rojas. But he's getting better and better each day with sticking to a plan and having a solid approach every at bat. And when he does that, good things happen because he can leave the ballpark anywhere, right field, center, left, wherever. So, I mean, he's shown flashes of what he can do. I'm still just waiting on that long stretch.
And now you look at this group as a whole, 9 games left to play in the first half of the season. Obviously, once you hit that next Sunday in Portland, everything kind of resets in terms of record. What's the message to the group in terms of how you want to finish this first half?
I think it's just kind of a fresh start for the whole group. Offensively we've done good, and there's been days that the pitching's done outstanding. But as a whole, we got to start just putting it all together, eliminate some of the mistakes that we've made early in this first half. That's cost us some games. But this clubhouse, there's a lot of fighters in there. They like to have fun. I'm not worried about them, man. They work hard, so we'll be all right in the second half.
I want to talk to you a little bit about that work ethic because we've tried to have you on a pregame show. I can't tell you how many times, and you're always in a tunnel. You're always working with the hitters. Is that the norm, or is it this group that just likes to work that hard that costs you so much time?
Well, you always hope it's the norm, but it's really not. These guys like to hit, and they like to hit a lot. If there's any downtime, it's, hey, Henny, can we get the machine going? Like, can we do this? Can we do that? So I love it. I think hitters just want to hit. So it's a whole group of guys that just want to get down there and master their craft.
This may be a goofy question, but I watch what the other teams do and what you do in terms of batting practice on the field. Sometimes, almost every other team does it with the pitching machine. Sometimes you use a pitching machine. More often than not, it's either you or Ray Ricker, or sometimes it's Al throwing BP. Obviously, I would assume that's your preference, and what's the mindset of that?
I think it just kind of reflects with the group of guys that you have. For me, I like arm for timing purposes. I like to be able to work the ball around the field. I think guys, if it's sometimes machine can be too grooved at times, and the adjustability in the swings aren't always there because not every BP throw is perfect. Obviously, we throw balls and everything else, but these guys, I like to do situational hitting a lot, and for these guys to learn where to look for certain pitches and zones and certain things, and it's easier to do when you're doing it with arm.
Yeah, once the pitching machine is set, it's just going to throw pitches the same way each and every time, where the human body doesn't quite work that way.
Right.
So we look ahead to tonight's game. Mick Abel back on the mound. Had a nice bounce-back outing last time out, 5 innings pitched. But you look at this staff as a whole, and the one message that I've kind of picked up from being around these guys has been they love to kind of follow up what the guy before them did. So Vargas went out, was excellent on Tuesday. Phillips went out. As hard as it was to be better than Vargas was, Phillips found a way to be pretty much almost perfect aside from the walk. So with Abel tonight, just the mentality of this group, is it something you're kind of like excited to see? All right, after what we saw from Victor and Tyler the last 2 nights, I'm super excited to see what Mick can go out there and do tonight.
Well, of course. I mean, we're always excited to see Mick on the mound, but if Mick goes out and throws his game, we're going to be in a good spot. He just got to locate his fastball. When his fastball's on, he's going to do what he normally does.
You will probably focus more on the results of last night. You already mentioned the 1 for 10 with Manning in hitting in scoring position. But the night before, 14 runs, 16 hits, that had to be kind of fun for you to just be sitting there and have the seat on the third base side, coaching at third base. That had to be fun for you to kind of see it all erupt for one night.
Yeah, it's always fun when the guys hit, obviously, especially when you score 10 in one inning. So this is a good group, man. They keep grinding them out. As long as they keep having consistent at bats, we got a chance to do another 10-run inning, hopefully sooner than later.
We learned something. We found out that the scoreboard here, inning by inning, doesn't go to double digits. It only showed a 0 up there, so now you know moving forward. Don't forget, if you scored 10 runs and look up, that it shows 0. Look at the total, not the inning by inning.
I mean, it took 11 years between 10-run innings, but we'll see if it's a lot less of a difference here. But kind of, last time before we let you go, you look at this group as, hitters so far, and you focus on them as specifically here. They've already have, like you said, such a remarkable first half. You lead the Eastern League or top in the Eastern League in so many categories. What's the goal now? What's that next step that, okay, this offense has already been so good. What's going to take them to a whole new level moving forward?
We'll go back to what I talked about the first interview with you guys, is just staying consistent. If these guys can do that and stay consistent with their work and everything else and just go play the game the way they know to play the game, the results take care of themselves. And like I say, just grind out every at-bat, stick to a solid plan, and these guys will do what they need to do.
Reading Fightin' Phil's Radio Network. Again, when we come back, it'll be starting lineups and first pitch. Thanks to Tyler Henson for spending some time with us. And we'll take a timeout and back with first pitch. And thanks for listening to the Reading Fightin' Phil's pregame show.